Saturday, December 31st. Today on the Daily Review, we discuss This Place Rules. What just had something weird just happened on my screen. I don't know what that means. Anyway, it's a documentary about the events leading up to the January 6th riots. And it's by All Gas, No Brakes creator and star Andrew Callahan, who also directs this project. He's a guy who travels around in his Winnebago and asks questions and makes YouTube videos under a channel called All Gas, No Brakes. It's kind of like a Vice thing. It's got that kind of vibe. Because I downloaded a new operating system. My screen is going nuts trying to figure out what aspect ratio to use, but hopefully it's not affecting the broadcast. Anyway, boy, this is a nice tight 85-minute documentary. Kind of organizes and clarifies and arranges fairly equally both sides of what was happening in the country in 2020 leading up to January 6th, 2021. And it has a lot to do with media manipulation and the social media war zone and conspiracy stuff having to do with QAnon and Alex Jones, InfoWars, and all sorts of all that stuff that, I don't know if you've been paying attention, you know about, but this is really nice because it organizes it all. That was probably the best aspect of it, is to kind of take a step back and look at a guy who was, because what Andrew Callahan does is he's on the ground putting mics in people's faces and stuff, which is great. We get the real deal, as opposed to other news media outlets that are politically or economically motivated by saying and not saying certain things based on their advertisers, all that stuff. So it's pretty annoying to watch, because after a while you can't blame people who've been indoctrinated or been given misinformation. You kind of you start and you're I just hate everybody on both sides. Anybody in crowds is just a knucklehead. Even if ideologically I agree with them, it's just you look ridiculous, And I'm not saying, and I don't know what I mean, and whatever, you know what I mean by that, though. It's just ridiculous. And I'm not saying don't stand up and don't protest things, but I don't know. Alex Jones is definitely insane, though. No matter what your opinion is of anything, he just seems very, very unhinged. I'd never really seen too much of him. This was probably the longest amount of time I've spent with Alex Jones is in this documentary. Anyway, there's a cool part in the beginning where they interview a rich suburban or a rich city kid with smart parents, and he kind of knows more than anybody so far in the movie, and he's just understands it, all these different things about what coronavirus is and what Trump and Biden are and what the media is, and he's you can tell he's 9 or 10 years old, and then I was oh well, this movie's kind of being a little bit biased towards the left, and then but ultimately there later it shows kids whose parents are heavily on the right, and the kids, they don't know any better, and they're just spewing all of this stuff that I personally, with my personal views, think is nonsense, because I don't believe that the government is lizard people, or just I don't believe in conspiracy theories. But that's because they got me, right? Right, guys? They got me. That's why. Anyway, it's kind of like Borat if everybody else were Borat. Trust me, just watch it and think about that. It's everybody else doesn't get it. It's like a Vic Berger edited Errol Morris documentary. But no, but it does. It brings up Hunter Biden smoking crack and all of that stuff. It's relatively unbiased as you can be, in this given situation. In my personal opinion, it's not. I don't know. It shows both sides' positions. You just get to decide which one is more rational than the other. But like I said, once they're in big groups, it's oh geez. No more than what is it? remember like listening to this podcast where it said groups of bonobos, I think, which are similar to us genetically. Like the second that community gets over 90 members, it all like goes to shit. Like 90 people is like the exact size all communities should be, because it's the exact amount to where you need everybody and you know everybody enough to where it's really against your survival to have beef with anybody, basically, because everybody serves a function and there's like unity in that, and there's probably some mathematical thing to it too. Anyway, the people that made me the most angry were the people who really had like no particular position, but they were just making money off the chaos. That's like the lowest level of hell. That's so crazy. Just to be like, I make t-shirts and rap songs. Fuck it all. I'm making money, you know? It's like, I'm throwing fucking gasoline on the fire. Whatever. That's nuts. That bothers me so much. But it's nice to see all this kind of composed in a like, I don't know, I keep saying it, but like organized way, like a nice linear thing from the ground. I didn't really enjoy it, but, you know, you got to watch it. It's like this show. Like and subscribe. I'm here every day. You can be here as much as you want. What I learned about this idea of projection shaming. That's when you like, or projecting shame. That's when somebody is like, goddamn country's full of fucking pedophiles. And then it's like, excuse me, sir. It says here that you are a registered pedophile. And you're like, ugh. Yeah, I just like kind of didn't know the name of that concept. And I wonder what I've done it with. I wonder if I can learn about myself by watching myself. Huh? Anyway. I don't know. Again, I don't think that this movie's going to change anybody's mind if they feel one way or the other, but it's for future generations to organize and dissect and decide. So thank you, Andrew Callahan. Put this one in a bottle and open it in less crazy times. Good night, America.